I still remember I used to come to office quite early and stay late at night just to complete my reports. But once I figured out automation, I started automating my all the repetitive tasks which were not adding anything to my work. And today we have tools like Power Automate that can help you to automate your repetitive tasks without writing a single code. And in this video, let me show you how you can use Power Automate and automate all the repetitive tasks that you have in Excel. Now, when I click on the Run button in Power Automate, it gives me this table from my PDF into an Excel workbook. And here I have this workbook with the table extracted from PDF. And now if I run this flow, it will extract all the worksheets from my main workbook and create a separate workbook for each worksheet. And here I have a folder where I have all the worksheets as a separate workbook. Now, if you ask me what is Power Automate, in simple words, I will tell Power Automate Desktop is Microsoft's free tool to automate repetitive tasks on your computer using a drag and drop, no code interface. Yes, you can just drag and drop and create a flow for the automation. And that's something we're going to learn in this video. Now I'm using Windows 11 and in my Windows, I have Power Automate Desktop by default. And if somehow you don't have Power Automate Desktop in your Windows, just go to Microsoft Store and download it from there. You just need to search for Power Automate and you will get this button here that says install. In my case, it says open because I have Power Automate already in my Windows. So once you install it, you will have a interface like this that starts with the home, flows, and examples. Now, in the home, you have a few examples that you can use, which are basically predefined or ready to use automation flows that you can use and automate your activities in your computer. So we have Excel automation, web automation, desktop automation, and then PDF, text manipulation, and all sort of other things. Now, in this video, we're going to focus on Excel automation. So let's get started. Now, when you open Power Automate, you will have a window something like this. In this window, you have a few examples that you can use to, to start automating your activities in your Windows or in Excel or other kind of automation. But if you want to create a flow from scratch, you need to click on the new flow. And when you click on it, it asks you to give your flow, your automation a name. So I'll start with my first flow. And I'm going to click on create. And within a few seconds, it gives me a blank flow where I can create my flow for the automation. I can choose every step of the automation. So here I have my blank flow. You can see here the entire window has three parts. So the first part is basically the action, all the actions that I can use within my flow. And the second part where my actual flow will be listed. All the activities of the flow will be listed here. And then I have this section where I have all the variables that I'm going to create in my flow. In Power Automate, you have a lot of actions that you can use to create your flow. So let's say if you want to open Excel, let me just go here and type launch Excel. To launch Excel, there is a specific action. I just need to pick it from here and drop in the flow window. And here I have the dialog box. Now in this dialog box, there are few options that I can use or I can define to launch Excel. So the first option is it asks me if I want to have a blank document. So now here, the document means a workbook. If I want to have a blank document or I want to open a specific file when I launch Excel. So when I say I want to open the following document, that means the workbook, I need to specify the path to that particular workbook. Or if I just go with the blank document, that means a blank workbook, it will just open Excel and show me a blank workbook that is not saved. It's just like opening Excel and with a blank workbook, initial blank workbook. And after that, I have few advanced options that I can use. And every time I do anything, I perform any activity in Power Automate, it returns a variable. Now, the point of having a variable here is with this variable, you can refer to that activity using that particular variable name. So if I say open Excel, that's the name of the variable that will be produced by this activity when I launch Excel. I can refer to this activity just by using this name, open Excel, and click on save. And here I have my first step, the first activity of my flow. And I can run this flow from this window itself. So when I click on this run button, you can see here that I have a run button. And when I click on this run button, you can see here I have my Excel application and a blank workbook, which is not saved yet, but a blank workbook. So that's how this single step works to launch Excel. You can also set your own variable to store a value. Now, let's say if I have a path to a folder and I want to use that path again and again in my flow. So instead of just copy pasting that path, everywhere, I can set a variable and then use that variable in my flow wherever I want. So the benefit of using a variable is that if I want to change that path in future, I don't need to go to every step and change that path from every step. I just need to go to that particular variable and change the path from there, and it will get updated in the each step where I have used that variable. So what I'll do, I'll go to my action and enter here set variable, and here I have option to set a new variable. So let me just drop it here. And in this dialog box, I have two options. The one is to specify the name of the variable and then the value of the variable. So let me just change it from here and let me just enter source path. And the path is the path of my desktop. Let me click save. Now, to refer to the path, I just need to use this name source path. And now my next thing is to write a value in the workbook that we have opened with the launch Excel action. So I'll go here and enter write to Excel. And here I have my action, write to Excel worksheet. And in this dialog box, I have the Excel instance, that is the Excel I have used, open Excel, the variable name, and the value to write. So I'm going to enter hello. And you can see I don't need to use double quotation marks to specify this value. And after that, a write mode on a specific cell, column 1, row 1, that means the cell A1. And let me click save. So I have launched the Excel. I have a variable with the source path, and I have written a value to the cell A1. Now the next thing is to save this file. So I'll go here and search for save Excel. And here's my action. I'm going to drop it here. Again, the same Excel instance, open Excel, save document as, extension is .xlsx. And now for the document path, instead of adding that path as a hard value, I'm going to click on here and use the variable source path. Now my path is there. What I'll do along with the path, I'm going to specify a name of the file. So I'll say testing and the extension, the format of the file, xlsx, and save. So now my file is saved. The last step is to close the Excel application. So I'll go here, close Excel, and let me drop it here. The instance is again open Excel, save document, and save. Now I have 5 steps, which are basically 4 steps and one variable. And when I run this flow, it will launch Excel. It will open Excel with a blank workbook, and then it will set the path of the desktop to the variable source path, then write the value hello to the worksheet, and then save it with the name testing.xlsx, and then it will close the Excel application. So now let me just run this flow and see how it works. And now I'm going to click on the run button, and you will see each step executing one by one. And let me go to my desktop and see if I have that file here. So here I have the file with the name testing, and let me open it to see if I have got the value that I want to write to the cell A1. So here I have the value hello that I specified in my flow to write to the cell A1. Now in this example, let me show you how to extract a table from a PDF file. So on my desktop, I have this folder, and in this folder, I have this PDF file where I have a small table that I want to extract. So I'll go back to my blank Power Automate flow. And from here, the first thing is I need to use a specific action that is, that is specifically designed to extract tables from the PDF. So I'm going to say extract tables, and here I have my action. So I'm going to drop it here, and here I need to specify the path of the PDF file. So I'll open my folder again, right click on the file and copy as path. I'm going to paste it here and remove the double quotation marks. Now in the advanced options, I need to do one more thing. I need to turn off where it says first line contains column names. And now before I save, I need to change the variable name. You can use any variable name. So I'm going to use a simple one that says table from PDF and click save. So my table from the PDF is extracted now. The next thing is to open Excel and paste this table there in a new Excel workbook. So I'm going to say launch Excel and drag it here with the blank document, make instance visible. And let me change the variable here. Open Excel and click save. Now after that, I need to paste, or I need to write that data, the table that I have got from PDF, into my new Excel workbook. So I'll use this action called write to Excel worksheet. And here the instance is open Excel. Now the value to write is basically the table I have got from the PDF. So I have a variable here, table from PDF. But when you extracting a table from a PDF, you need to specify the index of that table as well. So if you have multiple tables, in that case, by using that index, you can specify that particular table. So if I have 2 tables, in that case, I'll specify that index for the second table if I want the second table. So I'll enter 2 square brackets, and within these 2 square brackets, I'm going to specify my index. Now, the thing is, in Power Automate, when you specifying a PDF for tables, that index of the tables start from 0, not from 1. So 0 means the first table and 1 means the second table. So I only have one table in my PDF, so I'm going to enter 0 here. That means the first table. And along with that, I also need to use a property that is data table. Now write mode on specified cell, that is cell A1, column 1, row 1, and click save. Now the next thing is to save this file. So I'll choose the action save Excel and drop it here. Save document as extension Excel XX, and my document path will be my desktop, and along with that I have this name of the file and extension as well. I'm going to save it here. And now the last thing is to close the Excel application that I have open here. So I'll say close, Excel, and let me drag it here. So I have the Excel instance, open Excel, save document, and save. So my flow to extract a table from the PDF file is ready. I just need to run this flow and see how it works. Let me click on the run button. And my file is saved on the desktop. And you can see, let me see. Okay, so it's on the second screen. So here I have my file that is just saved from our automate by extracting the table from the PDF that I have here. So let me just open both side by side. Here is my PDF and here is my table from this PDF. So this is how you can easily extract tables from a PDF. You just need to understand that you need to use the index if you have multiple tables, and it will get that table for you in a new Excel workbook. All right, so now I'm into my blank flow and I want to create a flow that can take each worksheet from my main workbook and create workbook out of it. So let's start with specifying or setting the variables. So I'm going to go to my actions and ask for set variable. And I'm going to drop it here. And the first variable is basically for the source file that I have. So if I go to my desktop and you can see I have this main workbook here. So I'm going to right click on it and get the copy as path. So that's basically the path of the workbook, the main workbook. And I'm going to paste it here. And this is the path of my main workbook. So I need to give it a name. So I'll give this name source file and save. And in the same way, I need to create one more variable here. Let me drop it again. And now the name of this variable is output path. So this output path is basically the path of the folder where I want to save my, new workbooks. So I'm going to paste the path here, and along with this path, I'm going to complete it by entering a ending backward slash. And now I'm going to click OK. So my variables are there. The one is for the source file and one is for the output folder. Now, after that, there's one condition that I want to check here. So if the folder where I want to save my files, if that folder is not there, I want this flow to create that folder first and then move to, split all the worksheets into different workbook. So for this, I'll write a condition. I'll go to my actions and ask for if folder exists. And I'm going to drop it here. And now, so my whole idea is to check if that folder doesn't exist instead of exists. So from there, if folder exists, I'm going to go with does not exist. And the folder path is exactly the same that I have specified in the output path. So that's the variable. So I'm going to specify this variable from here, select variable and output path and save. Now the condition is set. I want to check if that folder does not exist. And if that folder does not exist, in that case, I'll add an action in between this condition. So the action is create a folder. And again, the path where I want to create my folder. So this will be simply my desktop. And here I'll specify the name of the folder country wise and save. So I have two variables here. One is the source file, one is the output path of the folder, and then a simple condition then that checks if that folder exists or not. If that folder doesn't exist, it will create that folder. So let me just delete this folder from the desktop and try to show you and how this flow works to create this folder if it doesn't exist. So you can see it is creating that folder. And now the next thing is to open the source file from where we're going to get our worksheets. So here I'll enter launch Excel, and I'm going to drop it here. And from the launch Excel dialog box, I'm going to select open the following document, and I'm going to paste the path of the file. So I already have the variable where I have the source files path. So I'm going to select that variable, that is source file. And here I have my variable for the document path. That's a workbooks path, right? I will also change the name of the variable that will produced by this step. So instead of Excel instance, I'm going to go with Excel application and click on save. Now my source file is opened. The next thing is to get the name of all the worksheets so that I can use that list of worksheets and loop through each of the worksheet one by one. So here I'll go to my actions, and here I'm going to get all Excel worksheets, and I'm going to drop it here. Excel instance is just that I have created in the last step. And from here, I'm going to change the name of the variable that will be produced from this step. The name will be sheets list, and I'm going to click save. Now my source file is opened and I know the name of all the worksheets. Now moving ahead, I need a loop that can go to each worksheet in the source file, get data from there, create a new workbook, and paste that data to that new workbook, save that workbook using the name of the worksheet, and then close it. So these are the few steps that I need to add in my loop, and this loop will run for all the worksheets that I have in my workbooks. And that's how I will get a new workbook for each of the worksheet that I have in my source workbook. So let's start with the loop. So for this, I'm going to use for each loop, for each. That means each worksheet that we have in the source workbook. So I'll take it from here and I'll drop it here. Now it asks me which value I want to iterate. That means what is the list of the values that I want to use for the loops. So list is basically the list of worksheets, and we have a variable where we have all the names of the worksheets. So I'm going to go to my variables, and from here we have this variable that has all the names of the worksheets. So I'm going to select it here, and now I'm going to change it from here, the variable. So I'm going to say sheet name. Now, if you look at this for each loop, what it says sheet name in the sheet list. So sheet name, the variable sheet name represent a single worksheet in the source file, and sheet list represents the all the name of the worksheet. So it will go to each sheet one by one and perform all the activities that I will specify within this loop. So let's start with that. So the first activity is to get the active sheet. So we need to activate each sheet one by one. So let's say if I want to get data from sheet Canada, I need to activate that sheet first. And then once I perform all the activities with the Canada worksheet, I need to go to the worksheet India. And then the same is for Spain and for each of the worksheets that we have there. So for this, we need to use the action called set active Excel worksheet. And I'll drop it between my loop. Now here in the Excel instance, I'm going to use the Excel application. That's the first launch Excel instance that I have. Now that I have created at the starting. And now it asks me how I want to identify my worksheet. And there are two options. The first is the index and the second is the name. So I'm going to go with name, and from where I'm going to get those names. So I have a variable where I have name of the worksheet, where I stored the name of the worksheet while looping to all the worksheets. So I'll click on here and then go to sheet name. And now I'm going to save it. So this will activate each sheet one by one. Now after that, once my sheet is activated, I need to read data from that worksheet. So for this, I'll use read from Excel worksheet, and I'll drop it after the set active worksheet. And again, the same Excel application. And here, instead of using the value of a single cell, I'm going to go with all available values from worksheet. And let me change the name of the variable that will be produced from this step. I'm going to go with a little descriptive name. Copied data from worksheet. Copied data from worksheet. And now I'm going to click save. Now the next thing is to insert a new workbook. Now for this, again, I need to use launch Excel, and I'll drop it below the second step. So this is my third step, right? And now instead of opening any file that is already there, I'm going to open a blank document. That means a blank workbook. So I'll simply select it the same with a blank document. And after that, I'm going to change the name of this variable produced. Now, when I used launch Excel first time, so I used the Excel application, the name as my variable name. And this time I'm going to use Excel application 2. So basically this is like I'm launching Excel first time and now I'm launching Excel second time. So my third step is here. Now after that, once my new workbook is opened, I need to paste that data that I have got from the second step. So I'll go to my actions and I will use this action write to Excel worksheet. Now here in the Excel instance, instead of using the first instance, I'm going to go with the instance that I have just created in the last step, Excel application 2. And value to write. So value to write is the copied data from the worksheet. So I have got my application, Excel application. I have got my data to write to the new workbook. Now I need to specify where I want to write it in the new workbooks worksheet. So that will start with column 1 and row 1. That means the cell A1. And now I'm going to click save. And my data is now added to the new workbook. Now the next thing is to save the file. So for this, I'm going to go to actions and enter save Excel. And I'm going to drop this here. And now the Excel instance is the Excel application 2. And save document, I'm going to go with save document as. And from here, I'm going to select the extension of the file, that is .xlsx. Now here I need to specify the path of the file where I want to save my file. Now if we go back and see, here we have the folder where we want to save our file. For this folder, I already have the variable that is output path. And let me enter this variable. Now, along with the folder path, I also need to specify the name of the file. So name of the file will be the name of the worksheet. And for this, we already have a variable, and that variable is sheet name. Let me just close this one and let me select the sheet name. output path, sheet name, and again, along with this entire path, I'm gonna add the extension name, that is .xlsx, and I'm gonna save it. Now we have data in new workbook, and that workbook is saved. The next thing is to close the file. So I'll go here, my actions, and then close Excel, just like launch Excel. And I'm going to go with Excel application 2. So it will close the Excel workbook after saving it. And do not save document. I'm going to go with it and click save. And I'm going to say save document and save here. Now my loop is complete. Let me show you the activities that we have within the loop. So first it will activate a worksheet, then it will read data from that worksheet, and then again it will launch Excel with a blank workbook, and then write that data into that new workbook. Save that workbook using the worksheets, the original worksheets name, and then close it. And this loop will run for number of worksheets that we have in the source workbook. So if we have 10 worksheets, it will run for 10 times. And if we have 5 worksheets, it will run for 5 times. Now, once we create all these workbooks from the worksheets, the last thing is to close the original source workbook. So again, I'm gonna say close Excel, and now this close Excel will go after the loop. Now here, I'm gonna select the first Excel application. That's the first instance, Excel instance that we have used to launch the source workbook. So now it's time to close that workbook. And do not save document. And here I'm going to click on save. So my loop is complete. But let me add one more thing here, and that's a message box. So once the loop is complete, I want to have a message box that says, hey, all the worksheets have been converted into workbooks. So I'll use display message actually, and I'm going to drop it below the close Excel. Message title done, and message is here. All the worksheets have been into workbooks. Information okay, and say. So our flow is ready to use. And now it's time to run our flow and see how it works. So let me click on the run button. And you can see here, we are getting our files in the folder one by one. And our flow is complete. And here I have the message, all the worksheets have been converted into workbooks. That means our flow is working and it's converting all the worksheets into separate workbook in the specified folder. Hey, thanks for watching this video, and you can download your free ebook that I have promised from the link in the description. And make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'll be coming out with a lot of cool Excel tips and tricks in coming weeks. So make sure to subscribe and like this video.